All right, Peter, this is one of my favorite type of topics. It's called influencers, not the ones on YouTube, but people that have actually influenced us along the way. And when I speak, I usually talk about my grandfather. He and my grandmother, my mom, and they were actually from Kiev and emigrated like way back when. But he used to take me for walks in the park in Montreal when I was about five or so. And one day he spoke to everybody, which we can relate to. And one day I asked him, I call him Zeta. I said, Zeta, how do you know all these people? And he pointed at one guy. I remember him pointing to a guy. He said, "One day I smiled at that fella, and he came over and smiled at me, and then we started laughing. Then someone else came over to me and smiled also, da da da, like that." And I remember my 5 year old brain saying, "Well, life's going to be pretty easy. I just have to smile at people," and it stuck, basically,
Yeah,
as simple as that was. And so we all have a lot of influencers in our lives. Can you share two or three that have been really influential in yours?
sure. Well, of course, I'll start with my father, who was a brilliant doctor and a brilliant diagnostician who took the time to understand that it wasn't about caring just for your patients, about caring about them and listening to them. And so if you had an appointment with him at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, you knew you wouldn't get there till you wouldn't get to see him till 5 because he gave everybody the right amount of time. And you didn't care because you would wait as long as you could to get to him. He was a true healer in that respect, but also a brilliant doctor. And one day, when I was, 17 and thought I knew everything and knew nothing, um, he he said to me, "I finally figured out who you are." I said, "What's that?" He said, "You're a runner." And I said, "What do you mean?" I was very defensive. He said, "Oh no, it's not a bad thing. You just have to figure out if you're running towards or running from." And
Wow.
and that stopped me in my tracks. That was and then he also told me time and time again, every time I thought I had a failure or even a success, he said, it's not about winning or losing or being right or wrong. It's about adjusting. And it's a question of how fast, how willing you are, and how sensitive you are in that adjustment. That's going to make the difference in your life. And he was right. And then one more thing that stuck with me, not with him being a mentor, but with him being sort of a reverse role model. On Saturdays, he would take me for a walk. And it was always the same route. We'd go from 96th Street and Park Avenue all the way down to 86th Street and Park, go up to Madison, go have lunch at the Madison Avenue Deli, no longer with us,
Hmm.
and then back upstairs, I mean, back up to 96th. But the walk was punctuated about every maybe 14 to 25 feet with him stopping on the street and saying, "You see that building over there? If I'd bought that back in 1940, and then we'd go another 30 feet and say, you see that apartment over there? If I'd gotten that." And those came to be known as the if only walks. And what it imprinted on me was the decision that I would never want to have that kind of walk in conversation with anybody. And so it made me act quickly when I saw something I wanted. I didn't overthink it. Now, his way to go was turned out to be a brilliant way to go because he carried only one credit card for emergency use only. He paid as you went. And when he died, he owed nobody anything. A lot of people owed him, but he owed nobody. And in the last 20 years of my life, I decided I have to be him when I grow up. So I've been spending 20 years just getting rid of all my debt because I want to go the way my dad did. Um, but uh,
That's
but up until then, if I saw something, I didn't want to wait 20 years to say if only. I went and did it. I
yeah,
don't regret it. I don't regret it, but I've learned my lessons.
that's big. That's big, really big. That's beautiful. Anybody else you want to share about?
Yeah. When I was in college, I maintained my reputation as being a discipline problem, and and I was staying in a dorm, which was akin to a minimum security prison, and we had a house fellow there who truly was Gestapo. And in those days, I'm really dating myself, but all the floors were either all men or all women,
Hmm.
and uh, you were never allowed to have a woman on your dormitory floor except on Sunday afternoons between the hours of 2 and 7. It was called visitation. And and your door had to remain open, and 3 feet had to be seen on the floor at all times. That was what, so we thought that was garbage. And we were always sneaking women up, and he was always trying to catch us. And so just think, I was Ensign Pulver with the palm tree and always getting in trouble. And I got in so much trouble that I was on the most strict, severe, about to be thrown out of college disciplinary probation. And that's where I met a man named Jack Sipperly, one of the deans in the College of Letters and Science. And he truly changed my life. He turned me around. He became one of my closest lifelong friends, along with his wife, Kay. And I owe him and will always owe him everything, with all the lessons that he taught me, all the direction that he gave me, and all the philosophy that he allowed me to embrace and act upon. Sadly, we lost him last year,
Hmm.
but I mean, I'm not making this up. From the day I graduated, and that was 1972. So for over 50 years, um, there was not a 3 day period no matter where I was in the world, that I didn't call him.
Wow.
Um, and uh, and by the way, he wasn't just that way with me. He was that way with so many students who owed him their lives, literally, in so many different ways. He was a true gift from the heavens, and I miss him every day.
It's amazing. Teachers like that. My grade seven teacher, Mr. Hersey, was has impacted so many people, also including me for years and years and years. And that's why I love the movie Mr. Holland's Opus. Ever see that?
Yeah, of course. But
Yeah.
I just realized that when I was telling you that story, I closed my eyes.
Hmm.
I closed my eyes through the entire telling of that story, and there's a reason for that because I was thinking of Jack.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Thanks for sharing that. It kind of teaches us that we're influencing people all the time. Sometimes we don't even know it. And it's our choice to be positive or negative, and it should be an easy choice when you get right down to it,
Yeah,
right? So
yeah,
appreciate you sharing that. Thanks a lot.
you got it.